Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Our Golden 20s. My name is Sadie, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tegan.
Hey.
And today we're going to talk all about how to crush the dating game, specifically on dating apps. I feel with Valentine's Day coming up, this is something that people are thinking about. And if it's maybe something they haven't historically thought of before, or like they're just newly single or just wanting to start to like date after like the craziness the pandemic has been, I feel like this is just a timely discussion to have.
Yeah. I kind of miss the dating app boat, but I'm very passionate about swiping for other people. So I have a lot of opinions, and there are people I follow on TikTok who their entire TikTok page is just them screen recording as they go through like Bumble, and they'll be like, that guy's ugly, no. And it's like the most entertainment. So
yeah,
I'm
I
ready.
was going to ask you. Yeah, I was like, I don't think Tegan's had to experience the world of dating apps before, which is very fortunate. Like,
yeah.
I was actually just having this conversation with a friend last weekend where she's a little bit older than I am and she's single. I'm single too. Tegan is married if you guys are new here. But me and this friend were talking about just dating and stuff. And she was like talking about how some of her friends are getting married, whatever. And I was like, people who are single still, or no, sorry, people who are in relationships or have been in relationships for like a long time, they don't understand the hustle of dating apps. And like dating is one thing, but then dating apps is a whole other thing. So I feel it needs this podcast episode like exclusively talking about dating apps because they're just that much to deal with.
Yeah, definitely.
But before we get into that, Tag, do you want to tell our listeners if you have any Valentine's Day plans? And if so, what you're doing for Valentine's Day?
Sure. So the weekend before, I'm going to be in New York City just for like a little vacay without my husband. But then I come back Sunday night in the middle of the Super Bowl, which the Super Bowl is also like the day before Valentine's, as a heads up to all the people out there. So I come back, it's the Super Bowl, and then Valentine's Day is the Monday. So I think we're just going to try like a new restaurant we wanted to try out. It's called Marked, and it looks cool.
I've heard amazing things. Yeah, I hear the food's really good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I hadn't heard of it. We were just like looking around on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, this place looks cool. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's good. I think, is it kind of pricey? I feel like
I have no idea.
Okay, I feel like my friend went and was like, it's good for like celebrating an occasion.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, perfect. So I think this will be good for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're not doing like gifts or anything because like I always find that Valentine's Day is like too close to Christmas. And so we were like, what would we even get for each other outside of like chocolates, which we don't really want, or like he could get. It's easier, I think, to shop for women because then it's like flowers, jewelry, that kind of stuff. But it's like, what do you buy for a boy on Valentine's Day if they're not eating junk?
Yeah.
A whole lot, nothing. So then we were like, we'll just do dinner, not have to worry about gifts. And like we had talked about maybe splurging on something for our house, but we haven't come up with anything yet. So
yeah. I was gonna ask, like, what is the gifting, like, not threshold, but like to me, Valentine's Day is more like, and I've never spent Valentine's Day in a relationship. So, so this is just like, I don't know where I got this from, but it's more like spending time together maybe versus buying gifts. Like, I don't know. I feel like, or if you do gifts, then it's maybe like medium, smaller ticket items. Like you said, like I feel like Christmas or like, you know, these big like holidays.
Yeah, Christmas and birthdays are the two big ones, I think.
Yeah. That's
well, and usually like for Valentine's Day, our budget like isn't more than $100, which maybe seems like a lot, but actually isn't.
Inflation, people.
Nowadays. Like
so true.
Yeah, I remember one Valentine's Day, I was like, I'm going to buy Tyrell clothes. And it was like that covered like 2 shirts at Urban Outfitters. So it's like not that big. But we always do dinner, although normally like if we're really busy, we won't actually do dinner on actual Valentine's Day because a lot of times it's a nightmare. It's hard to get a reservation. A lot of times restaurants are only doing special menus that you have to pay a certain amount. Like we were looking at one restaurant and it was like we're doing like a chef's menu and it's $200 a person. And it's just like a lot for like a day. So sometimes, especially if it falls in like the middle of the week, we'll be like, okay, the Friday before or the Friday after will be our Valentine's Day. But
that's nice. Yeah. Awesome.
What about you?
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing a Galentine's brunch on the 13th, which is Palentine's Day. So I'm very excited about that. If you guys listen to our 2022 goals episode, I shared that I love to host people, and that's one of my goals for this year is just to make an effort to like host once a season minimum, but just host more. So I'm going to kick that off with a Galentine's brunch. So 2 of my friends are coming over. I'm so excited. I have like a menu planned. I have like I'm going to go out this weekend and see what I can find. Well, I guess this is like we're recording this a week ahead. Otherwise it'd be the weekend of my brunch, but still going to go out this weekend, try and like look for some cute decor stuff, get some like roses and stuff. Like I want to make it super cute. So I'm excited for that. And then I feel like on actual Valentine's Day, I'll just do some sort of like self-love, like active self-love kind of thing. Like maybe like a candlelit bubble bath or something like that. But yeah, I feel like it'll be nice to see some friends again.
Yeah, I do feel like Valentine's Day is like one of the worst holidays because I just am not a fan of February. So it's like even the thought of like we're getting a giant snowstorm this week in Toronto, and it's like the thought that like I'm gonna have to get dressed up and leave my house in a snowstorm. Just seems like a nightmare. But it's like
but places are finally open. There's finally like you can go out now in Ontario, like just in time for Valentine's
Day. We couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I remember my mom like mailed us wine because she was like, happy first Valentine's Day as a married couple. Enjoy just sitting in your house like normal.
That's funny.
It was good wine,
yeah, and I think for a lot of people too, Valentine's Day, like people usually like hate it if they're single, probably. Like it just is like a holiday to remind you of your singleness. But I'm like, honestly, whatever. Like celebrate it with family. Who cares? Like when I was a kid, my mom always got us like chocolates and, you know, stuff like that. Or when you're a kid and you like give a Valentine to everybody in your class and you just celebrate it with your friends, like bring that kind of energy back, you know? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm like comfortable being single, but I'm like, it doesn't need to be like you're alone. You can't celebrate this holiday.
Yeah. Well, and I see a lot of people like outside of the Galentine's Day, like that's obviously a huge thing now. But I also see people, it's like a trend to send your mom flowers on Valentine's Day too.
Honestly, I was thinking about that. Like the weekend after I'm going to see my parents, and I'm like, I'm maybe gonna, my dad's not a big like chocolate person, but I was like, maybe I'll get them something sweet and get my mom flowers because like I said, they spent years like getting us something sweet where I was like, be nice to like return the favor. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I was also going to do a shameless plug for our social channels because I just created a Valentine's Day board on Pinterest. So if you're just looking for some inspiration, that's where I'm getting all my Galentine's brunch inspiration. So if you're planning something similar, head over to our Pinterest board. There's also like we have like a self-care board as well. So if you are just looking for something to do for yourself, lots of ideas there. And also follow us on Instagram. We will be posting some ideas this week for how to celebrate Galentine's, how to celebrate Valentine's by yourself. And last shameless plug before we get into the meaty part of the episode is to listen to last year's Valentine's Day episode as well. It was called Real Talk Romantic Date Night Ideas and RuPaul or something like that.
Yeah.
It was something, it's like one of our most listened to episodes, but I think we gave like some date night ideas that were even COVID friendly. So definitely wanted to bring that up too, since we won't be diving too deep into those details today.
Yeah, we have a couple, I think, episodes about like different aspects of dating. So we can share those all out on the Insta. And then if you need your fix,
we
you
got
can
you.
listen to us.
Yeah, we got you covered.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. So shall we dive into talking about dating in general?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I kind of wanted to start out with like a little pep talk, I guess. And this is partially inspired by, I think I mentioned that I had just read the book You Are a Badass. And it's kind of like the book The Secret. And so it's all about like manifestation and the universe rewarding you and that kind of thing. But she specifically talks about in the book how, like, whatever your feelings are for something, that's how the universe rewards you. So if you feel bad and like shitty and burnt out about, say, money, the universe is not going to reward you with money. And the same thing applies for dating. Whereas, like, dating should be fun. And like, there's a lot of aspects of dating that, like, me as a married person, I'm like, oh, like, remember all those moments, like a first date and that kind of stuff, like excited butterflies. Like, these should be fun moments. But I feel like for a lot of people, it can feel like a chore or a job or an obligation. And then it's like, do you really think that you're going to find your soulmate by like lazily swiping through 100 people on Bumble because you're like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do, so that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and
Like,
that dating burnout is real when you're like
yeah.
like I said, like dating apps is a hustle, like full-time job,
Yeah.
literally. Like like so that burnout does come around from time to time. You know what I mean? Like that's a very real thing.
Mm-hmm. And I just feel like people just put too much pressure on themselves. And for something that's supposed to be fun, so just like take a breath, have fun, keep it low stakes. And then I feel like you'll be surprised by how rewarding it is when the only goal you have is to have fun.
Totally. 100%. I feel like for me personally, like, I don't know, I'm okay on my own. You know what I mean? And I feel like there was one part that you were saying, Tag, where like the universe kind of like matches your energies and whatever. Like I know some people don't really believe in that, but I also feel like, you know, the saying too, where it's like if you keep being in toxic relationships, it's because there's like something you need to learn. And like if you're not learning it, then the universe is going to keep like making you like putting that situation in front of you until you learn your lesson. Like I think that could also be part of it. And I think there's also like limiting beliefs. And this is something I'm like super interested in right now, but just like limiting beliefs in general. But I think there's part of that in dating too. So for instance, in my case, just like my singleness and like independence is something that I've had part of my identity forever. And it could be like blocking me being open to a relationship or something like that. So just I don't know, that came to mind when you were talking.
Yeah.
But also on the dating burnout front, like you said, if you're just kind of like lazily swiping through things just to swipe, not because you're like excited about it or like actually, you know, putting energy in, then maybe just take a break. Like, you know, if it's 2-week break, just block your dating apps, like put restrictions on them, delete them altogether, whatever, and just like focus on you, do things that solely fill your cup. And maybe that's spending time with your friends. Maybe it's just taking 2 weeks to be like, you know, me time. And I've said this so many times before, but once you kind of start feeling better, you know, about yourself and you start just like, I don't know, this is like so cliche, but I can't think of another way to say it. Once you start like filling your cup, then you're and being like the better version of yourself, then you can go to those dates a little bit more, you know, energized. And then you're giving that date a fair chance since they're seeing the best version of you since you took time off to recharge and whatnot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I also like the idea of if you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling burnt out, reflecting on why you're on those dating apps. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what is the purpose of being there? Are you doing it because it's what you're supposed to do? Because people keep
Mhm.
asking you, where's your boyfriend? And you have to say, oh,
Mhm.
I'm single. You're bored. Like, those aren't really
Yeah.
good reasons.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, you're going to be feeling burnt out if you're doing these because your mom wants you to have a boyfriend. Like,
100%.
that's not going to be rewarding for you.
Yep. It all comes down to your why, 100%. And I think
Yeah.
like you said, like lower the stakes of just my why is to have fun. My why
Yeah.
a lot of the times for dates is to like explore the city and meet new people.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
and often that's fun. You know what I mean? It's not to like
Yeah.
find somebody I can do the rest of my life with because like I said,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm okay doing things on my own. Like I
Yeah.
don't feel like there's part of me missing that I'm like looking for. I'm just like at this point, I just want to like meet people. I want to go
Yeah.
to fancy restaurants. I want to try Marked one day. Like, you know, like I'll have a date. Let's go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a good approach. I love that idea.
Yeah. So, do you have any tips for people who are on the dating app, swiping away, getting matches, as far as like
Oh,
starting a
yes.
conversation?
100%. So we have tips for starting a conversation and
Mm-hmm.
also a little bit of a dating profile checklist. And
Mm-hmm.
both are things I'm very excited to talk about. I think tips for starting a conversation is where we can start. And I really feel like there's only one and only one rule, and that is to show your personality. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's because there's just so many people on dating apps these days that there's so much like choice and it's easy to just be another profile, you know, when you said tag, like
Yeah.
they're just swiping through person after
Mm-hmm.
person. So it's easy to kind of get like lost. So to stand out, my dating app, I've said this before, my dating app of choice is Hinge.
Mm.
And I haven't tried like too many other. That's just like I prefer Hinge over Bumble kind of thing.
Right.
But I think in on Hinge, even maybe on Bumble now, you can like match people based off their pictures, based off their
Mm-hmm.
prompts, and like
Yeah.
different things on their profile. And you can also like comment something. It's not just like match, it's like you
Yeah.
can start conversation. So I say, you know, like actually respond to one of their prompts on their profile or their
Mm-hmm.
picture or something and make reference to something you read on their profile. So if it's one of
Yeah.
their interests, for example, like on my profile, it's a lot of pictures I have from traveling. So I love when people are like, hey, this is cool. If it's like New York, I've never been to New York. Like, where's
Yeah.
your favorite
Yeah.
spots to go? Or where's your favorite city you've ever visited? Something like that, just to like start the conversation off the hop, but
Mm-hmm.
also to show that you took time to actually like look at their profile. I think that
Yeah.
stands out too. You weren't just like judging a book off the first like picture kind of thing.
Yeah, like I feel like this kind of goes for setting up your own prompts as well as like responding to them. But it's like say things that would actually make people want to have a conversation with you. Like if someone's
Exactly.
asking, if the prompt's asking, or if someone's asking you like what's an unpopular opinion, don't be like, "Oh, I like pineapple on pizza."
Oh my
'Cause it's like, how do
gosh.
you respond to that? You know what I mean? Like
The worst.
bring some
Yeah.
originality, bring some personality, and something that makes it easy for the other person to respond to, because I guarantee if it's work, they'll just be like, nope, I'm going back to swiping.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if their profile doesn't give you anything to like chat about, like you're
Yeah.
not really seeing like initial like common ground, you could just ask like kind of random fun questions. And I feel like there's
Yeah.
a few like safe ones, like what shows are you currently binging? Like especially
Mm.
in lockdown and whatnot, everybody's got a TV show on the go.
Yeah.
What's your go-to karaoke song? That is
Mm.
extremely telling to somebody like me.
Yeah.
First, I'm like, we will do karaoke on a date. So just let's get this out of the way now. Do you
Yeah.
like karaoke? And second of all, what am I signing myself up for? Could even be something a little bit more forward, but like, what would your perfect date be? You know, like,
Mm.
or what's your ideal perfect date? Something like that. Or these could be good questions like once you do match, these could be like great conversation starters to bring some life into your conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stray away from saying like, hey, what's
Hey,
up?
what's up? Oh my God. The worst. Literally the
Yeah.
worst. The worst is when you've been texting somebody for like, I don't know, a week maybe, and then like you still haven't made plans to like meet up, but you're like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
know it's coming. But then it's just every day until it comes. It's that, hey, how's your day going? Hey, how's it going? Hey,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah.
It's like, how many times can
Small
we have this
talk.
conversation? Yeah.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed between,
Yeah.
yesterday and today. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my biggest pet peeve. I also think it's a safe bet to just like compliment them. Like if you're seeing somebody's picture, like this is maybe
Mm-hmm.
selfish, but like people will respond to my pictures and be like, "You have such a nice smile." And I'm
Right.
like, "That's
Yeah.
so nice." Like
Yeah.
it's not like creepy, like it's not like you're hot or like
Yeah. Yeah.
whoa, eyes emoji or like something like that. Like it's
Yeah.
like a respectful, meaningful
Yeah.
compliment that it's like, that's so nice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like everybody likes to be complimented. So give that a try if you don't feel comfortable asking a question.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And my last tip for starting a conversation, especially like in response to prompts, sometimes when I'm looking through somebody's profile, just something like, I don't know, kind of like jokey will come across my mind. Like if it's like sarcasm or like poking fun of
Mm-hmm.
them in like a light-hearted way. So sometimes, again, that might not even be like a question necessarily, but just like if something like quirky pops into your head that's a little like on the humorous side, like feel free to
Mm-hmm.
like respond to somebody's prompt or picture with that. And I feel like it shouldn't be anything like too forced or cliche or cheesy unless that is your sense of humor. But I think that could be a really great way to stand out amongst everybody else on the app.
Yeah, for sure.
Humor is something I value. So if they like respond to that with something else funny, then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we can have a conversation. Like this person and I will get along or whatever. And if they don't respond at all or like don't match you, clearly they didn't appreciate your joke and that wouldn't have worked out in a relationship anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, this should all be like basically like sticking your toe in the water to see if it's like too hot or too cold. Like you're testing to
Exactly.
seeing like the beginnings of compatibility. So
Yes.
you might as well like get as much information as you can at like
Mm-hmm.
by not saying like, hey, because there's only limited responses there. Like you should be still trying to see it. Could this work out? So,
Totally. Yeah. And I think, like, yes, you're like looking for compatibility and stuff, but
mm-hmm.
also try not to come off too strong. Like, that's something
Yeah,
that,
don't be aggressive.
yeah, exactly. And I feel sometimes, like, even like, what's your ideal date? Like, that question could be like, just like fun and like flirty, but it
mm-hmm.
could also come across as like, if that's your first question to them, it could be like, I don't
Yeah,
know, a
where's
little
this going?
forward.
When are you going to
Yeah,
ask me on a date? Like, yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
So, something to be mindful of.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, as far as standing out on the app, we have some kind of tips as far as like a dating profile, I guess, checklist.
Checklist.
And I
Yes.
know
What
like
to
there are
include.
guides, yeah, that are like your first picture should be this, your second picture should be this, which is intense, but
That is intense. I don't know any of this, so maybe I'm not
oh, really?
qualified to
I
be giving
can
this.
enlighten
Yeah.
you. I
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
I think the first rule of thumb is pretty obvious. Is like your first picture should be a solo picture of you that's
Yes.
clear, good
Yeah.
quality.
Hell yeah.
It's not like you have your ex cropped out.
Yeah.
Like it's just a nice
Or,
picture of you.
yeah. Or a friend group shot.
Yeah, no.
Like, we don't know which one you are. Like, no.
Exactly. And that
Yeah.
always reads, I think, as trying to like hide or that you're like
Yeah.
insecure in yourself. Like you're
Yes.
trying to be like, swipe because it could be any one of these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Just
true.
don't do that. Lead with yourself.
Yeah.
The second picture, I think the rule,
Yeah. I'm going to open my
the
profile while
unofficial
you tell me
rule
this. Yeah.
should be something that shows more information about you. So this could be a group shot now that we've established who you are, or it could be like you in a travel location, you with like a hobby or interest featured, you in a pet, something like that, something that could be a conversation starter.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, so I feel we're gonna kind of bounce all over like our checklist, but I just
Mm.
opened my dating profile to like see if I was following your rules. So far, the first picture, yes, 100%. It's just like
Yeah.
clear picture of me by myself, no big deal. The second picture is actually my most responded to picture.
Mm.
And I don't know if this is like sexist, but if you're trying to match with men, I highly recommend you put some sort of picture involving food on your profile.
Mm.
And I say this out of experience, okay? My second picture, which you said should be more like telling.
Yeah.
Mine is me holding a giant slice of pizza from Lamana's
Mm.
Bakery, and the prompt slash caption is "Don't judge
Mhm.
me." And I'm not kidding. This piece of pizza is literally probably the entire, even bigger than like my entire torso. Like it's
Mm.
one of those giant slices.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't
yeah.
know if that qualifies as like a more
I think
telling
so.
picture.
Yeah, like
But
it's a
that's
conversation starter, right? Like if
yes,
someone doesn't want to
100%.
just come out and be like, "Hey, your smile's beautiful." You know what I mean? They can be like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, that's a giant slice
Everybody's
of
like,
pizza."
where did you get that? Did you eat that
Yes.
all on your own?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many things that come from it. How, oh my gosh, I know where this is from. How was
Yeah.
it? Things
Yeah.
like that. Is it worth the hype? Like, I get so many different things off that one picture. So that
Yeah.
is my like hack. And for girls, again, I don't want this to be like stereotypical like gender. So maybe it works the other way too. I just have
Mm.
experience like, matching with men.
Yeah.
But I feel like for me, if a guy has pictures of their pets on their profile, I'm
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
I think that's a strategy, like my food
Yes.
strategy as a
For
woman.
sure. Yeah. No,
Right?
definitely.
Like, it's just, like you said, a conversation starter, but it also just like pulls at like, I don't know, these like ingrained parts of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's definitely. So I think like first picture, just like clear one, sets the
Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
sets the tone.
A good
Second
headshot, if you
one,
will.
yeah, exactly. We're
Yeah.
treating this like LinkedIn. So it's like your
Hell
headshot
yeah.
up the front. And then the second one's where you like reveal more about yourself.
Yeah.
Really like the second, third. I kind of feel like maybe this is stupid, but I kind of feel like you should have a shot that has like almost your full body in it. I don't know. I just feel like it might be a red flag if every picture is just
Yeah.
like a close up of your face. So I feel like you
Yeah.
could put that into like slot number 4.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Going back to the friends thing for a second, I feel like we kind of talked
Mm-hmm.
about this, but I feel like friend group shots are okay, just
Yeah.
not too many
Not the
of them.
first
You know what
one.
I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And also maybe like one or two out of like the
Yeah.
4 or 5 pictures you have. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So just something to be mindful
Especially
of.
like if it's a nice picture of yourself, like of course you want to use
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? It shows that you
Yeah.
have friends and you like to have
Yes.
fun and go
Okay.
out, you know.
I was gonna ask you, is there a rule about that? Because I
I
was
don't think
watching a
so.
YouTube video and this was a while ago, and they were like reviewing each other's Hinge profiles, or maybe this girl was just going through her own. I don't even remember who was doing it. And they were like, you need to have some friend shots on there because
Mm.
if you don't and they're all just you, then you look extremely like self-centered. And I looked at my dating profile and
Oh.
they were all just pictures of me, but I was like doing other
Oh.
things or like
Yeah.
eating huge slices of pizza. No, just kidding. I didn't have more than one pizza picture, but like, I don't know. It showed like I had like one from Bali, one from New York, one from San
Yeah.
Francisco, where I was like, I'm going for the travel,
Mm-hmm.
look. And then I was like, do I look self-centered? So I text Teg, and I don't know if you remember this, Teg, and I had this picture of us. I was like, is it okay if I put this on my dating
Oh,
profile? Because I
yeah.
want
I
to
forgot
show I
about
have
that.
at least one friend.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So yeah, but I was like, is this a thing? Like, do I look like a huge loner because my friends don't make my dating profile?
I wouldn't think that. Although maybe with
No.
men, I don't know. I'm trying to think if it was like a dude and then you're like, does this dude not have any friends? Like that might be weird. But I think it would be weirder if it was just like pictures of you, like no
Like
hobbies, no
selfies.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if it was just like 4 selfies, that might
Yeah.
be weird.
Okay. That would make sense to me.
Yeah.
And like you said, like thinking on the other perspective, thing is I never match off friend pictures. Like I would never
Yeah.
that to match with
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I just never really thought friend pictures were important, but maybe subconsciously I do like register, oh yeah, they have a friend picture. Oh yeah, they're close with their friends. I
Right.
don't know. Yeah, interesting. I just wanted to know if there was an official rule about that.
Not that I know of. I feel like this is the part where you should get your notebooks out and write this down. But
Oh
it should
gosh,
go
okay, here
like
we go.
nice, clean solo picture,
Yep.
quirky picture that shows your personality,
Mm-hmm.
group picture,
Yeah.
and then like fourth is wild card picture of your choice. Another
Yeah.
group picture or like a full body or a picture of you and a pet or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Yeah. I think outside of the pictures, the prompts are also important. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
a really great way to show your personality too. So just answer them as yourself. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like we said, conversation starters to show personality. I feel like your profile, like the number one rule is just to be yourself, because obviously you want to be putting your best foot forward and like being your true authentic self so you can find like a true authentic match for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you said, Tag, that means actually answer the prompt with something you come up with on your own. Like Hinge, for instance,
Yes.
I think all of them have the prompt and then like an example answer. And everybody knows what the example answers are because we all get the
Yeah.
same things. And yet people still use it on their profiles. And you're like, seriously? Like, I'm putting effort in to answering my prompts. Can't you do the same?
Yeah. Or the amount of dudes who like will select a prompt and then they'll be like, I don't know. Like, it's like, what? Do you
Yeah.
not even know how to use this app? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you pick the prompt. Why?
Yeah. And now you just look like you have like zero interests, zero
Yeah.
hobbies, like zero passions, no personality.
Yes.
Like, no, I'm not going to match with you off that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
I love the sharing of the Spotify stats. I don't know why. I just think that that's so cool and very revealing. And I will say my brother has his on, and his top artist is Taylor Swift. And he gets a lot of messages about that.
Yeah. I'm funny where I purposely don't have mine synced because music is something to me that is just like so intimate. I don't know why. Like, I don't just share with anybody what my favorite song is because I'm like, it just means so much to me. I don't want somebody else to like ruin that for me. I don't know.
Right.
I'm weird about it that way, but
Yeah.
I can appreciate like getting to know somebody based off the music they listen to.
Yeah. And I
But
mean,
that's
like,
not
if your
fair.
Spotify is absolutely unhinged, like, probably
Yeah.
don't sync it. Like, if your top artist is like the Glee soundtrack or something, like, maybe just
No
keep that to
shame.
yourself. Yeah. It's like, that's not probably going to get you any matches. I mean, maybe if that's the type of person you're looking for, then you should add it. But
right?
yeah.
Or if it's something you're embarrassed of, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If it's something cool like Taylor Swift, then shout it from the rooftops. But I do think it's important to be honest, especially about things that could be deal breakers. And a lot of these are kind of answered by like the little icons. Like, it's not even like you have to awkwardly bring it up in a conversation, but like, do you smoke? What's your vaccination status? Do you have kids? Like, these kinds of things that you're gonna, if you eventually start dating a person, you're gonna have to reveal it pretty early because it's pretty obvious. And you don't want to like waste your own time or waste anyone else's time by trying to hide it.
Yeah. And also, like, Hinge's algorithm is based off of that. Like, like, you're most compatible or whatever. Like, they take your answers to all of those things and then find somebody who has answered them similarly. And then, boom, you're most compatible for each other. So if you're lying about those things, you're not setting yourself up for success for, Hinge's algorithm to like properly match, like show you people that would be a good match for you. It's funny though you say this because smoking pot, for instance, or smoking weed, that's one thing where I'm like, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I want like my future boyfriend to either, but I'm like, I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent. So I didn't answer it for the longest time. And then I was like, but I noticed that people that were like, yes, like smoke weed all the time, I wouldn't match with them. So I was like, I'm just going to go back and change that to like, no, I don't smoke weed. And I feel like, I don't know, ever since I did that, going back to what I was just saying, I feel like I'm not seeing as many people that were like into that before. So I'm like, maybe it did help with that. But also, why was that something I didn't put on my own profile? I don't know. It was just a weird thing. And I also feel like you don't want to answer things honestly if you feel like there's a chance people will judge you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Smoking weed might be one where you're like, I don't smoke weed, but I don't want to put that if that will mean people don't match with me. But like you said, that might not be a match you want anyway.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Like, on the other hand, like you guys know how much I enjoy a good glass of wine. If somebody writes on their profile that they never drink, I'm like, we probably won't like hit it off because like, some nights I just need a glass of wine and like other nights I need to get blackout drunk like with my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so just put all the information and put it honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's about compatibility and it's like,
exactly.
Will you be compatible if they're an alcoholic so they are sober now?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
maybe that doesn't match up with your lifestyle. And then it's like, you might as well be honest with it up front instead of like figuring it out down the line, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are great profile like tips. I also think like if you haven't updated your profile in a while, I'm sitting in that boat right now. Like I had that slice of pizza probably like 2 summers ago when lockdown first happened.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to update my pictures and I have this as a fun Galentine's Day idea coming on the Instagram later this week. But little shout out, if you're like just, having your single friends over for a Galentine's, do a photo shoot, like all of you get dating pics or dating profile pictures and just like take photos of each other, get that group shot in, do all your makeup and just have a photo shoot and get your pictures updated.
I thought you were going to suggest
Good time
that
to do
thing
it.
where you like cast your phone to a TV and like you would swipe through it as a group and be like, what do we think of this guy? And I was like, oh, okay. That's a lot.
That's not quite where I was going. Yeah, I thought before you started, I thought you were going to be like where you all share, like when you're with your friends, like everybody assess each other's dating profiles and see what could use improvement. That could be another good fun activity.
Yeah. My problem is like in preparation for this episode, I went through some of the dating profiles of the people in my life. And I was just like, you guys are so funny. Like, I don't know. I'm too positive, I think.
Yeah. And it's also hard when you know somebody to like put that aside and be like, okay, I'm pretending I don't know anything about you just off your dating profile. Like, it's hard. And that's why dating apps are hard because it's impossible to like know somebody based off a profile. So you match with them and then, you have some small chat, but even through that, it can be really hard to get to know somebody until you like actually meet up in person and see their mannerisms and like understand their sense of humor because you like hear how they say things and their tone of voice and things like that. Like it is extremely difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. However, friends, keep going because it could be extremely rewarding. And I feel like it is discouraging to be like, you have to go on so many bad dates just for like one good date or like you have to go on so many dates with so many people just to find your one person. But like my oldest sister met her boyfriend on a dating app and like they just bought a house together. Like these things do work. One of my like best friends, she now lives with her boyfriend. They met on a dating app. Like this is a normal way to meet people. So this is another thing I actually wanted to bring up is also don't feel any shame in being on a dating app. I don't think people feel shame around it anymore like they used to, but I don't know. Just don't because this is the way of the world these days.
Yeah, I went to a
Exactly.
wedding this summer and the bride and groom met on Bumble.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So it's
I
coming
love it.
true. Fairy
Yes.
tales. They're
Yeah.
happening.
100%. Okay, Tag. So say we are texting some boys and
Mm-hmm.
we're like, okay, what are some green flags to look out for? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the number one thing is having just like a natural conversation.
Totally.
And what I mean by that is like you will probably still be nervous or you'll probably still be like trying to impress them, have butterflies,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. But you
Mm-hmm.
should still be able to have like an open and honest conversation, feel
Mm-hmm.
safe, trust
Yeah.
them, don't worry about them judging you, that kind of thing. Because I truly believe that a lot of the best relationships, the base of them is a friendship and an understanding. And then you
Mm-hmm.
kind of build your romantic feelings on top of that. So it's like
Totally.
you have to talk to them like a friend.
Yes. I love that. And I think anytime we have dating or relationship episodes, we talk about how important communication is. And I really
Yeah.
think, like you said, if you're just having like conversation that flows the first time you're talking to this person, like I feel like that's a
Mm-hmm.
really great base of communication and shows, like we can communicate and it's very natural to do that. And then once you have that kind of good communication going, it's easy to just like build off of that. So, yeah, of course, that leads to trust because you know what they're thinking and how they're feeling because they feel comfortable communicating that to you. And I think,
Yeah.
especially in the world of dating apps, it's so hard to trust people because they could be talking to anybody, they could be out with anybody at any time when they're not with you because there's just so many options out there. So I feel like it's hard to find trust, but by
Mm-hmm.
being, open and honest with them, communicating your feelings and where you're at, I think it goes both ways. But
Yeah.
once you find that, like, definitely a great dating green flag.
Yeah. And finding someone who's not playing games, not trying to ghost
Yes.
you,
Yes.
like is actually trying to communicate with you.
Yes. And I think the ghosting thing and communication is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're not into it, I think you owe that person, like, a little explanation. You don't need to be like make up a story. You don't need to like get into the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty like details of what you're thinking and how you're feeling, but just like, you know, let them go and like communicate
Yeah.
that in a respectful way. Don't just like ghost them and
Mm-hmm.
things like that, which I feel we could have a whole other episode on. But
Yeah.
communication,
Definitely.
number one at the top of the list. I love it.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention as a green flag is when you're getting to know them if they have similar goals to you. And
Mm-hmm.
this could be things like where they want to live, how much time they want to spend a week working, if they want kids, how they see their significant other fitting into their relationship, because those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that end up being deal breakers down the
Totally.
line. So it's like if you're
Yeah.
talking to someone, you're like, this guy's great, but he's like, I don't want to be monogamous and I don't believe in marriage and I want to be a nomad who travels the world. And you're like, that doesn't align with
Send
me
them
at
my
all.
way. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So then it's like, that's a pretty clear indication that those are
Yeah,
probably going to be
you're not a
problems you
match.
will run into down the
Yeah,
line.
yeah. We asked you guys on Instagram what your dating green flags are, and we got some
Mm-hmm.
responses. And somebody said, you feel comfortable discussing money, job, retirement, and relationship goals from the start. And I
Yeah.
think that's it totally. Like, especially like money or like your job or
Yeah.
things like that. Like, those are often like non-negotiables to people, like how you, and they can be like you said, those deal breakers and things you fight about, maybe not like in the first even 5 years of your relationship, but like
Yeah.
25 years down the line, so definitely
Yeah.
addressing them up front can save you a lot of grief in the future.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I think one of my biggest dating green flags is just that they're respectful. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many like that's so broad and maybe is obvious, but I feel like there's just so many things that can show respect in like a not huge grand gesture kind of thing, but just like somebody, for instance, going back to the ghosting thing, and I feel this kind of goes back to last week's episode, Tag, when you were like, when people are late, it drives you insane. And I was like, I view it as a disrespect thing. If people like ghost me, I'm like, you don't respect me enough to just like tell me. Like, again, that seems disrespectful. So I don't know. If they can respect me, if they respect other people, like when I'm with them, if it's respecting the waiter or a store associate, if you're going into a store together, strangers on the subway, like whatever, how they interact with other people out of respect, like I think that's great. And another big thing is respecting boundaries. So this could be like your boundaries on texting, like as easy as that, to like other stuff like boundaries around sex and whatnot. Like all of these things will, again, are kind of non-negotiables probably to you. So you want to make sure they're respecting your boundaries. Somebody on Instagram had a really great point about respect, which is you can have respectful discussions about opposing views. And I think that's a big thing. I feel like growing up in my family, I'm like born to like embody this in a relationship, but I feel like that's such a big thing too. Of course, things that aren't deal breakers, but just it's okay to view some things differently, but you need to like have common ground that you respect. Like, what's the saying? You can agree to disagree respectfully, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there are so many people, and like I've even dealt with this as like with friends, where there are just certain people who are wired that they cannot take you disagreeing and move on from there. And it's like, that's kind of like the basis of your entire relationship. Like you're two separate people. There are always going to be things that one person likes, the other dislikes, you disagree on.
Totally.
And so it's like how you handle that conflict says a lot about the person.
Totally. And I think especially when it comes to like, I don't know, like some bigger views, I guess, like some of those things are like deep rooted in how you were brought up and stuff. You know, it's not just an easy, like persuasive, like change. Like it's not something you can just like change your mind about over a night having like a glass of wine and a discussion. You know what I mean? So I thought that was a really good one, especially in the whole like respectfully disagree. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and we've talked about in like previous dating episodes too, if someone's disagreeing with you on something that is a deal breaker to you, like that's a clue.
At least you know now.
Yeah, exactly. And don't be one of the people who thinks that they can change someone if it is like a deep rooted belief to them, because you're just setting yourself up for heartbreak.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Another huge green flag for me is eye contact and body language, which shows they're listening. You guys know me. I talk a lot, okay? If somebody's showing that they're actually listening to what I'm saying, and better yet, if they notice and remember things I said or like little things I do or something like that, I'm immediately hot and bothered. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like a huge dating green flag for me to be like, oh, you remembered, or like, oh, you were listening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that is kind of linked to the respect thing also. Like it's them showing that they like respect you, your thoughts, your time. Probably these are realistically all related to respect, but just throwing that out there.
That's true. I feel like I'm like a big like respect police right now, where I'm just like, this is like the second episode where I'm like, people need to respect me.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
It's true. Everybody needs to respect you 100%.
Yeah.
Another big green flag for me is when they suggest a day or time for your date. And this is, not just like we should hang out sometime. This is like, what are you doing Thursday night? And big bonus points if they plan what to do or where to go.
Yeah.
Especially on dating apps. This can, in my experience, this can sometimes be the hardest part, is like actually committing to a day, to going out and meeting up, and then not canceling last minute, not, changing plans or like changing the date last minute. And also just like coming up with what to do. Like, let's grab dinner. Like, can we do something a little bit more fun? Like, where we actually can get to know each other without making awkward conversation. Like, you know?
Yeah.
So that's a big green flag.
Yeah. I think another one is if they are their own person. And this kind of reads to me also as like they are a grown up. They, you know, have their own, say, car, or they have their own apartment. They have a job. If, you know, they're going to school, what their hobbies are. And also that they want you to kind of have your own life. They're not looking for someone to be their mom or their babysitter or, you know, someone who has to spend every waking minute with them.
Yes, 100%. I was just watching Friends. Of course I was. And honestly, guys, I'm going to throw this back to Ross and Rachel for a second. But Ross's character, just a general statement. I go back and forth with Ross. He is often my least favorite character just because his character didn't age well. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, like, I don't know. There's things about him where I'm like, as like a strong, powerful female in 2022, you are everything I hate about, like, you know, a man from the 90s. And the perfect example of this is like right before Ross and Rachel go on a break, Rachel's explaining to Ross how she loves how her job is the only thing she has, or the first time in her life she has something going for her, you know, outside of their relationship, and like something she's passionate about, something that she loves, and something that is just hers. And she explains this to him, and she's like, don't, like, can you understand that? And he's like, yes, of course, I understand. Then he hugs her, she says, is that okay? And he's like, yes. And then he hugs her, and then he like mouths and like shakes his head like, no, that's not okay. And I'm like, Ross, this is toxic. Like, she's literally just excited about her job. Let her have that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, sorry, there's my friend's rant, but I think all of that just supports, they have their own life going. They let you have your own life going. And of course you can build like a life together too, but you guys aren't dependent on each other.
Yeah.
I think that's key.
100%.
Yeah. I already explained how important humor is to me and how it's something I value, just like having fun, you know, in my day-to-day. So of course I would value that in a relationship as well. So my next dating green flag is somebody who makes me feel comfortable being silly, having fun, or they make me laugh. So somebody who understands my humor, you know, I'm somebody who kind of like, especially like in like flirty ways, like I'll make fun of somebody, or maybe it's cliche when I like where they like teasingly make fun of me in like a lighthearted way. So I like that. And I think that's a dating green flag for me.
Yeah. Another suggestion we got on Instagram was when they read a book you recommend. And this kind of goes back to like the whole listening piece. Like they're listening to what you're saying. And they're interested in you and your life. So that's, you know, reading a book you recommend, listening to a band you said you liked, watching a movie you suggested. Major green flag, I think.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had that happen. Probably because I'm not a huge reader, so I don't know how many book recs I've given out in my day. But maybe, no, I don't know. Maybe like songs or like artists or whatever. But like going back to that, even that I'm not often like flaunting it because I'm like, no, I don't want to share this with them.
Maybe it does have the potential to ruin it if you're like, this is my favorite song and that's your song, and then it doesn't work out. But I think if it's just like, I don't know, something that's not like your favorite book or your favorite song, like if they're like, I'd love to listen to more of X type of music that you like. Yeah. You're like, oh, well, you should check out this band, you know?
Yeah. Or if it comes, like, I think books too, like, easily come up in conversation where I think, like you said, if they just, like, took note, or I guess this is like, you're like, it comes up in conversation, you're like, totally, you should check it out sometime, and they do. I could see that. Being like a big dating green flag.
Even if it's like they ask you the question, like, what TV show are you watching right now? Or
true.
Maybe that's a big commitment to watch a TV show. But like, are you a reader? What are you reading right now? And you can say like, oh, I'm rereading The Lord of the
Harry
Rings, because
Potter.
it's my favorite series. And they'll be like, I haven't read it. I should get it from the library and check it out. And then the next time you talk, they're like, so I got that book out of the library. Like, that shows some commitment.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially
100%.
if they read the whole book.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
that's good. That's
suggestion.
My next like goal. Yeah, my next goal is to like recommend a book to somebody and have
to get the Toronto men reading.
Yes,
just to educate them.
Yes, 100%. The last dating green flag is that they are close with their friends and family and they feel comfortable bringing you around them. So going back to this whole friends on the dating profile, maybe that is something that is good, just because it like is a green flag that, you know, they are close with friends and families. They're having relationships with people. Like they're, you know, they know how to do that with them. Surely they can be like a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever too. But I think that's a green flag.
It shows that they're serious about you. Like,
yeah,
you brought up friends. I'll bring up Sex and the City. But literally, Carrie and Mr. Big break up in season 1 because he won't introduce her to his mom.
Exactly.
And she's like, well, why won't you do that? And he's like, well, because I don't want to, like, I can't introduce her to every girlfriend I have. And that's like, ooh.
Yeah. Red flag.
Yeah. 100%. Mr. Big is just a giant red
trash.
Flag, but that's unrelated.
Yeah. Him and Ross, they should just GTFO and then we'll be good to go.
They can start a club of bad 90s men.
Yeah. Oh, man. If only we could just like group red flags together. You know what I mean? Be like, you're a red flag, you go over there. You're a red flag, you go over there. Yeah. But I also wanted to say, like, especially in the friends and family piece, like friends and family is something I really value. So of course that's a green flag to me. And kind of when we're going through the green flags, even humor, I was like, this is a green flag for me because this is what I value. I feel like if these green flags didn't like resonate with you, just think of things you value, and like, of course you're going to want to see those values in your potential like partner as well. You know what I mean? And I feel like you can kind of shape green flags or like whatever around that too.
Yeah. Or you can think about what would be red flags or turnoffs for you, and that's like, okay, so what's the opposite?
Yeah.
It's like a red flag is he's really controlling, so what's the opposite? He gives me my own space. That's your green flag.
Love that. Yes. Yeah. So good. This is getting me hyped to like date.
I know. I wish I could just swipe on dating apps just to judge people. I don't want to talk to people, but I just want to be like,
yeah, that's the thing. People. Yeah. This is the thing. And like I was saying, like the dating app is a hustle because in my opinion, going on the date is the easiest part. It is the conversation leading up to the date. That sucks. Like the matching, that sucks. Yeah. The conversation and small talk, that sucks. The conversation between dates, that sucks, because that's when the games come into place. Like, oh, I can't text her too soon. Oh, I don't want to get too serious because I'm, you know, still seeing other people, whatever. Like the actual date to me is easy, but hopefully we gave you some tips on everything that I just mentioned as the hard part.
Yeah, I think we've got lots of tips in here. And like we said, we have a couple other episodes on dating that we can share. So maybe like you found someone on a dating app and you're a little bit further in the process, like you can take a listen to those for our tips. But that is where we're going to leave it for this episode. So thank you so much for listening. As Sadie mentioned, we are on all the social platforms pretty much. Our handle is at our golden 20s. Our main one that we use is Instagram, and that's when we'll be posting like some more details and some of the stuff we talked about today. So definitely be sure to follow us there. But we also have a TikTok, a Spotify, a Pinterest, and we also have a Patreon, which is your best way to show your support for the podcast. And we put out the episodes early there. So thank you so much for tuning in and listening.
See you next Tuesday.